toward the end of January, I had the opportunity to represent Alpha Records for a recording project that was happening in North Hollywood. I met Cleverson Silva at the NAMM show, the National Association of Music Merchants, at the end of January, and then a few days later again in the studios in North Hollywood, NRG Studios. And they had assembled an unbelievable cast of musicians and producer, quality equipment, a great studio. It was just a perfect combination. And Cleverson is so good on the drums. And if you know anything about drummers, they interact with bass players, and every bass player will draw out a different aspect of the drummer and vice versa. The drummer will influence the bass player to play a certain way, and they had 4 of the best bass players out of the gospel music scene and jazz music scene right there in the scene. Gooch is a classic example. He played with Andre Crouch for many years, and with Prince for 3 years, and I think he's Chaka Khan's music director. But this guy just has a sense about him. When he's playing, he was playing one song where he switches during the song by using his pedals and stuff from a fretless sound to a standard bass, and I was just blown away by it. And I've heard a lot of bass players in my life, but there are other people. I mean, Cleverson was playing also with this Hadrian Farad, who's a jazz player that's played with the likes of like Chick Corea and John McLaughlin, and just out there on the other end. So they had all the way from gospel kind of through the funk stuff into jazz, just some great players. Contato, a guitar player from Brazil, just amazing player. The guy was astounding. And he drew some tones out of the guitar that I didn't think were in there. I'd played that guitar, and it was a wonderful guitar, but it sounded much better when he played it, I'll tell you what. There's a fellow that I'd never heard before named Donald Hayes, or if I'd heard him, I didn't know him. Saxophone player. I'm asking myself, how come I haven't heard this guy? He was amazing. He had so much emotion in the saxophone. And so Cleverson Silva is there in this group of musicians that you couldn't ask for better musicians if you were hosting the Emmys, you know, and or the Grammy Awards or whatever. And so these guys were just incredible. And he's there with these musicians inside of the NRG studio, which had, I think it was a 64-channel Neve board from the 70s, and they had the C12 microphones and everything, the U47s, all this stuff set up, and they were just capturing some wonderful music. And the studio there, I think the sound that came out of that with the Genelec monitors and all that, the sound that came from that, of course, is a combination of having some great equipment, amazing musicians playing very good instruments, you know. And so it was just astounding. And what's going on with Alpha Records, the reason I was there to represent Alpha Records, is they're involved with the production and distribution of Cleverson Silva in some way, and I was there to kind of be a face of Alpha Records. So what's happening now in England is Alpha Records is building a studio using some of the same types of classic equipment. In this old structure here, it's about a 450-year-old limestone building with oak beams. Just has some wonderful bones, and the ratios on the rooms are just excellent for recording. I can't wait to see this thing finished and actually to hear it, to hear the music that comes out of it. And they've also purchased a board, a Neve from the 80s that used to belong to, or half of it belonged to Sir George Martin. And in the center section, the G console, also from George Martin's studio, with the bus compressor and all that. And there's a lot of other components to it, but I'm sure they'll have Cleverson Silva over here recording in these studios, and you just can't wait to hear it. Alpha Records is going to do some more.